The news continues in East Africa, where Kenyan police fired tear gas at a small group of demonstrators in Nairobi on Thursday today, just a day after the government agreed to scrap contentious tax hikes following deadly protests. Dozens of protesters reportedly made their way to Nairobi's central business district, where police in anti-riot gear had blocked access along the roads leading to the State House, President William Ruto's office, and Parliament. And to unpack this, I'm joined by a political analyst, and that's Nancy Omolo. Good afternoon from here. Nancy, glad to have you join me.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, we understand that today there was another protest, in Kenya, and then the Kenyan Defense Forces and also the military were deployed across the counties in Kenya. How is that playing out?
All right. The situation has really been bad in the course of the week. And I think Tuesday was said is withdrawn the bill. Many people were not sure that the youth, they call themselves Generation Z. These are the young people who were born between 1995 and 2010. So I'm not sure they're going to turn up on the street, but I came across one of the letters that they wrote, and they were defiant despite the president having said that he's withdrawn the bill and is going back to the parliament because they think that their issues are not really being well addressed. They're not being addressed in time because they've already lost some of their colleagues so far. The Law Society of Kenya yesterday gave an update that at least 22 people have been killed by the police, and over 200 are in the hospital. So this already angered the youth that, this is coming a bit too late in the day.
Quite unfortunate, Nancy. What's the atmosphere like today? We learned of protests happening in Kenya, and then we also, got a report of, the military deployed and also the Kenyan Defense Forces. How is the street like in Kenya?
There's been a sporadic demonstration in various towns in Kenya, and in the central business district of Nairobi, they've employed the Kenya Defense Forces, the army, and the people still there, but the number is low as compared to Tuesday. And actually, this young generation, they call themselves Generation Z, actually, they were moving towards the State House. And I think the military and the police are very, they will not let them go past certain areas. So they're doing running up and down with the police.
You touched on something quite interesting, Generation Z, Gen Z. Why do we have such high number of Gen Z on the street? What's peculiar about their interest in the protest in Kenya?
All right. One of the things is that our demonstrations, even in the last election, the youth, this Gen Z generation, did not vote. And now all of a sudden, we're seeing the Gen Zs are full on the streets and are really demonstrating. But most of the things they're saying that, life is really difficult. A lot of them are unemployed. The taxes which has been introduced, which were ranging from taxes on data on the internet, taxes on fuel, bank transfer, diapers, and all that, is really going to affect them, and consider they don't have employment. But I think this is slightly more than just this tax bill of 2024. I think it's a long, we've had, really bad governance over a period of time. And when President Ruto was elected, actually said, this was going to be a government of the hustlers, the young people, the women who are selling vegetables, the motorbike riders and everything. But this has not happened because in one of the letters of this group of people demonstrating, the young people who've told us, I considered that we are the Generation Z, the older generation, so we should leave the demonstrations to them. But they're also just saying that there's some things they don't like in this government. For example, the corruption. Before the government introduces new taxes, how can they deal with corruption? Because they're thinking the government is not dealing well with corruption. There's also something they're saying that the blatant opulence by the politicians, that the politicians are buying high-end cars.
Nancy, permit me to touch on something, something very vital, if I may, Nancy. Now, we understand President William Ruto has scrapped the unpopular finance bill due to protests, agitation that happened in Kenya. Now, we hear people are calling for his resignation. What more can you tell us about this? Can this happen, or that would happen in 2027, the next election year in Kenya?
All right, with the kind of governance we have, it's not very easy. You know, it's not like we have the proportional representation in South Africa, whereby, you know, Zuma was recalled and, you know, you have a new president, or in a place like the United Kingdom where you have the president and the party can recall, you know, the prime minister. So it's not very easy in a country like Kenya, and this has never happened. But again, we cannot rule it out because we've seen revolutions in various countries. We saw this in North Africa when there was the Arabs, you know, the youth rose up against their governments. So we cannot rule it out. And the youth are saying that, you know, they want nothing, and they want President Ruto to resign. Beyond that, they also want him to recall his cabinet because they don't have the trust in this cabinet, in this member of parliaments who actually passed the bill against their. And after they passed that bill, yes, actually you find that some member of parliament who actually voted yes, their properties were burnt down in various parts of the country. So it shows how the public are angry, and they're saying that these are people that we've elected to present us, and they should listen to us. So if they can't listen to us, then they don't need to be in the office. So all these are the things that the youth are saying. They're saying that they're not going to stop. Although some various parts of some politicians have also told them, you know what, quite a number of people have been killed, quite a number of people have been injured. Over 200 people were admitted to various hospitals. But so far, they're saying that they don't fear death, and they want to correct some of the malpractices which has happened in this country since independence. And some of them I would call them the capitalistic system, which we have, whereby we have the haves and the have-nots. Because they're saying that the people who own this country, the rich, they're just less than 10% of the population. So they want to correct this. They call it that we've inherited the colonial system. And I think that this is the capitalistic system which ensures that the haves have more and they really don't have.
And that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Nancy Omolo, Political Affairs Analyst. Many thanks once again, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Bye.